Hello and welcome to my weekly Linux news, 28th January 2018. First off, GCC 7.3 released. This release of GCC includes fixes for more than 99 bugs in the previous version. However, and most importantly, this release includes code generation options to mitigate Spectre Variant 2 for the x86 and PowerPC targets. These new options include a new technique which is called Red Baline and was developed by Google. Red Baline has a great advantage over the alternative hardware fixes for Spectre, since it will create a much smaller impact in performance. Therefore, all major Linux distros are planning to use this new GCC feature to address Spectre Variant 2 with minimal regressions to the end user. Nevertheless, this will require recompiling the kernel and user space programs. And off into the next one, Firefox Quantum 58 released. Version 58 of Firefox Quantum was released earlier this week without attracting too much attention from Linux users. This was probably because the major performance improvement affected only Windows users. Rendering graphics now uses off-main thread painting by default under Windows. This is yet another great feature making its way to Quantum, but unfortunately it is still not mature enough under Linux. That said, there are three interesting developments for all platforms, including Linux. Loading pages faster by changing how Firefox caches and retrieves JavaScript. Copy and paste screenshots directly to your clipboard. And finally, Firefox Screenshots now works in private browsing mode. And next, Mozilla invests $1.65 million supporting open source projects. Interesting. I'll start off by quoting the first paragraph here. Mozilla was born out of and remains a part of the open source and free software movement. Through the Mozilla Open Source Support Program, we recognize, celebrate, and support open source projects that contribute to our work and to the health of the Internet. That's why in 2017 we invested $1.65 million in supporting open source projects around the globe, $500,000 of which we dispersed just since our last update in October. Now, two of the main beneficiaries of these donations were BuildBot, which helps automating the building, testing, and release cycle of complex software, like Firefox itself, and the other one was Warehouse, which is a replacement for the current software platform under which the Python package index runs. And finally, Bionic Beaver 1804 LTS to use Xorg by default. Canonical has officially announced that an next long-term support release, Ubuntu 1804, will use Xorg by default. Last year, they followed Fedora by releasing Ubuntu 17.10 also with Wayland as a default session, although Xorg has always remained as an alternative session for users at the login screen. Although for the most part, GNOME Shell works flawlessly under Wayland, there are some minor yet disruptive issues, which have been affecting some users, including myself. So the main reasons to opt for Xorg by default were screen sharing in software like WebRTC services, Google Hangouts, Skype, etc. works well under Xorg. Remote desktop control, for example, RDP and VNC, works well under Xorg. Recoverability from shell crashes is less dramatic under Xorg, Now, point 3 in particular is quite significant, because whenever GNOME crashes using Wayland, you're sent to the login screen, losing your session, whereas under Xorg, GNOME simply restarts without losing your currently running applications. The Wayland session will remain as an option for users at the login screen, just not the default one anymore. That's it, guys. If you'd like to watch more videos like this one, please consider hitting the subscribe button below. As always, use Linux long and prosper.